Good afternoon, everyone. You're listening to The Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Terry Kilakos, chartered mortgage broker and president of Northeast Mortgages, as well as founder of the Northeast Group of Companies. Joining me as usual, we have my co-host, Helen Akrivos, chartered real estate broker and president of Northeast Realties. Welcome, Helen.
Thank you.
What's going on? How's your day?
Everything's great. Everything's awesome as usual.
Awesome Thanksgiving weekend.
Yes.
Right.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving. Today we're going to be continuing last week's talk about whether it's the right time to refinance or sell. Last week we had a flood of texts and comments. So this week we will take a deeper look at what are the benefits of selling versus refinancing your property. So, last week we focused much more towards the refinancing side. So today we're going to focus a little bit more on you and, selling versus refinancing. I actually had a couple of people come into the office this week and they're like, Terry, we love your show, but man, do you talk a lot? You got to let Helen talk a little bit.
It is a talk show, right?
Yeah.
So it's,
So, but I like to talk. So,
yeah. And we enjoy
as my
it.
wife always says.
Yeah.
Don't forget, you can always reach us at the office during the week by calling 514-680-4674, or you can visit us online at northeastmortgages.ca, or you can visit us at northeastrealties.ca. And if you haven't done so already, please take a moment and subscribe to one of YouTube's most incredible channels, which is newsonthego.ca, where you get to see all the fun and exciting things that happen in the studio behind the scenes. And, I've said it before, but I tend to break things. So there's some interesting footage there. If you go through a lot
of infotainment.
Yeah, absolutely. If you go through the bloopers, I'm sure it's very entertaining. So before we kick off the show, just like we normally do, I'd like to do a little bit of a market update. For me, on the mortgage front, there's not much happening except the Journal de Montréal actually did an expose on what really happened behind the scenes of the Desjardins leak that happened earlier this year. Mm-hmm. So a lot of, there was a lot of consumer information that was actually leaked. There was an unscrupulous Desjardins employee which basically gained access to a whole bunch of data.
I remember that.
So dates of birth, social security numbers, all that stuff. And then what he did is he basically sold it off, and he sold it off to private lenders and a mortgage broker, of all things. It was in the Journal de Montréal. Yeah, absolutely.
So a licensed mortgage broker.
Licensed mortgage broker, which was not a very good mortgage broker, because if you actually go on OSC's website and you Google him and you look at his name, you'll see he's actually received fines and a whole bunch of other stuff before. So with that said, I lean back to what we were talking about last week, and there was one text that we got where the texter said, well, I don't care what my credit is like because I already have my house and whatnot.
Yeah.
I pay my bills on time. I don't need to look at my credit. Guys, look at your credit. Like I said it last week, I'm saying it again. You should really, really go in there, look at what your credit is like, make sure that all the people that you're dealing with are legit and they're actually looking out for you and they're not looking out for themselves.
Yeah.
Now you had a little bit of a market update that you wanted to
little bit of, crazy, exciting real estate news. I mean, we've broken all of the records. So the stats are out. Yeah.
Wow.
Every single record that there is. So in terms of prices, they've gone up. In terms of sales, the number of sales have gone up. In terms of the selling delays, they've gone down. So things are selling faster. In terms of how many properties do we have on the market? Well, we have less properties on the market. We've broken every record. So we haven't seen this type of market. Everything in the market is pointing favorably towards sellers. The sellers definitely have the advantage. And it's the first time, more records, and we're going to get into them in the show. If you guys want to stay tuned, I mean, it's really crazy. So all property categories, we're talking about condos, plexes, single homes, they all broke records.
Wow.
Like every single one.
And again, this is speculation to a certain degree. What's driving it?
The demand. It's really the demand. We're getting, population growth in Quebec, net migration. There's a high demand for condos. So we've never seen condos, actually the sales of condos outpacing single homes. condos are in a seller's market. I mean, I've been doing this for 17 years. I've never seen this. If you had a condo for sale in 2000, even 14, it wasn't moving. Now
that's
it's
right.
flying
I remember.
Up, right? It was like, oh, another condo listing. Great.
I remember when early on with Northeast Realties, whenever we would have condos, you'd be like, oh my God, this is going to stay on the market now like forever. But now they're just like off the shelf, like right away.
So we're in a seller's market for condos, guys.
Amazing.
Think about it. So before, when you bought a condo, you had to hold it.
Yeah.
Like you really had to hold it for at least 5 to like even 10 years to make money.
Yeah.
Now you bought a condo, I would even venture to say 2-3 years ago, you can make money on it. That's insane, right?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So it's really good for sellers. So if you have been thinking about selling, listen to the show, because there's a lot of benefits to selling right now.
Wow, that's just amazing. And another little piece of news, which is related to us, Northeast. So Northeast has some exciting news. HGTV's Scott McGilfrey has endorsed Northeast as the agency to use in Quebec. That's amazing.
We're very excited.
News.
I mean, I was always a fan of, Scott McGilvray when I was in my 20s.
I think all women are fans of Scott McGilfrey.
I don't think so. I think even the men can, relate and respect his...
I do. I love
right?
Scott. Absolutely.
I mean, when I was in my 20s renovating my duplex, in the evening, I would watch Income Property and I would pick up tips and tricks. Yeah. And so, fast forward years later, we have this partnership with Scott. Actually, basically, Scott chooses agents across Canada that he feels that are, able to basically offer clients, as much service as possible. And so we've been chosen and endorsed by Scott, and so myself and my entire team. So yeah, we're excited. Look out for our, we have pictures and videos on Facebook if people want to check it out.
That is very cool. And you know what? It's just a testament, because when you look at the amount of agencies that are out there, and for people that have listened to this show for long enough, you guys know that I'm not the type of person that sits there and sits on a soapbox and says we're so great, not at all.
Yeah, it's rare that we do it, but once in a while
it's good to pat ourselves on the back.
Yeah.
And I think
proud.
We've had a fantastic year, we've had a fantastic couple of years, and this is just another testament towards that. And truth be told, guys, for everyone that's listening right now, we would not have been able to do it without you guys, without our listeners, without our clients, without our family, okay? Because as far as I'm concerned, every single one of our clients becomes family.
Absolutely.
And
we love them.
And we
thank them.
Yeah, 100.
So this is just sort of like the icing on the cake that we were endorsed by Scott McGilvray. We're all super excited. So just sharing the news.
Yeah, that's exciting news. And actually, I'm going to be speaking at an event at the end of this month as well. So that's very, 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 very cool.
And perhaps we may have Scott on the show as well. So we're just putting it out there for people who do, like Scott. Tune in. We may have him as a guest. One of these weeks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things that actually we will be doing over the next few weeks, I've actually reached out to a few real estate brokers across the country, as well as a couple of real estate brokers in the States. Okay. And so we have some real estate brokers in Miami, and we have a couple of real estate brokers in California. So I want to go to like the warmest places in the States. If I could find one in Hawaii, I will get them on the show as well. And what we want to basically do is get them on so that we can just get a feel of what's going on in the market out there. Coming up, we're going to be looking at whether it's the right time to sell or just hold on to your property and remortgage it. You're listening to The Real Estate Show on CJAD 800.
You're listening to The Real Estate Show with your real estate and mortgaging team, Terry Kilakos and Helen Akrivos on CJAD 800.
You're listening to The Real Estate Show, and today we're talking about the pros and cons of selling versus refinancing a property. Remember, you can always call us at the office at 514-680-4674, or you could visit us online at northeastmortgages.ca or northeastrealties.ca. And of course, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is newsonthego.ca. So, Eleni, after last week's show, we had a lot of listeners reaching out to us. We had a couple of people that popped into the office, besides the ones that said that I talk too much, kind of asking for some guidance. Okay, and there's actually people that are a little bit lost, and they're curious. now this might be an obvious answer, but I want it to come from the horse's mouth. Seller's market, buyer's market. What are we looking at?
Okay, so right now we're definitely into a seller's market. So balanced market. Seller's market basically means that there's not enough inventory out there to supply the demand, right? And so what that means is if you are thinking of selling, and we're going to get into the reasons, you have all the advantages on your side as a seller.
Right.
Simply put.
Perfect. So for someone that's thinking about selling, this is definitely the right time to do so.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's like specifically 3 reasons why, and then obviously everybody's situation is different.
I agree. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, basically what it is to continue on about the seller's market. The number one reason that you should be selling now, if for some reason that's, financially and emotionally speaking, if your family is thinking of downsizing, upsizing, whatever the case, this is where you should meet with a realtor and look at all your options, right? Look at the refi, depends on your situation. But because the inventory is so low, okay, it's basically pushed the prices up. So why are we breaking all these records? Why have the prices gone up for condos, single family homes, and plexes? There's 21% on average less listings on the market. Think about that. 21% less than 2018. So what that means is it's like any product. You put something on the shelf that's very unique that, there's no supply of it. It's driving the prices up. So if you were thinking of selling last year, the year before, and we're kind of going into 2020 with this, I'm forecasting myself, and I mean, from what I'm reading, that the prices will continue to go up. So because the inventories are low, you're going to get a better price for your house. That's reason number one.
Yeah. And, based on what you're saying, it's also very important, and this is where we come in, that you actually go out and you get yourself pre-approved before you actually decide to sell your house. And this is so, so important. And I cannot stress this enough.
That's if you're buying, right?
If you're buying,
and we're seeing that some people actually don't end up selling, right? So we have some people that take your advice and they say, okay, Terry, I'm thinking of selling. We've seen a few. And they don't qualify to buy the house that they want.
Exactly.
They don't put their house up on the market. And so that's one of the reasons, actually, that we were talking about at the office, that the inventory is low. Yeah.
So like we're saying, we're talking about the pre-approvals, right? The pre-approvals, when people come in to see us, sometimes they're surprised. They think that, they could afford something, but, they can afford something else. And in other times, you end up in a situation where I've seen a couple of people actually sell their house and then all of a sudden they can't actually qualify to buy anything else. And then they're forced to actually go and rent, which is okay if that's what your intention was.
Because some people do go and rent. I'm actually seeing a trend now as well, again, depending on your situation, but I am seeing it with older, I guess, people that are just deciding they're going to be retiring. They're not, they want to travel. They don't want to own a property and they rent.
Yeah, I guess so.
So, talking about the pre-approvals, I'm guessing a lot of people just go online and they just kind of do their, they just do the calculation and they think they could be approved for something. So what happens now in terms of like their income? So people assume, I think anyways, they were qualified 2-3 years ago. Or they did it online. We see that a lot. Oh yeah, I went, I don't know, a year ago. What's happening now? And then they come to see you.
So one of the big mistakes, if you will, that I see is exactly that. So you'll end up having people that got a mortgage 5 years ago or were qualified to buy something 5 years ago. And, maybe their incomes have gone up. Maybe there's been a couple of things that have happened. Yeah. And all of a sudden they say, well, I qualify. If I qualified 5 years ago, my income has gone up by, $10,000. So obviously I qualify for more and obviously I can go and buy something. The thing that people don't realize is 5 years ago and today are two very, very different things. We have stress tests. We have amortizations that have shrunk.
Even a year ago.
Even a couple of years ago. Yeah, absolutely. So there's a change that's occurred in the market. But unfortunately, some people don't realize it. And those are the ones that I'm specifically talking about, where they're going to put their house on the market. Yeah. They're going to list it. They're going to sell it. And then all of a sudden, they can't qualify to buy anything else. Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of those people are not dealing with real estate brokers. They're doing it by themselves, the do proprio route. And I've seen it time and time and time again, where you have the, for sale by owner types where they're like, well, I don't want to pay commission. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I want to make as much money as I possibly can. They're not getting properly advised on the sale. They're not getting advised on whether or not they would actually be able to qualify for the next one. Yeah. They try and do it on their own, and then they hit a wall. And then they end up in a property that is less desirable, if you will, than what they were actually living in. Yeah. You know, so it's I
think you have to do the homework, right? Like whether you're going to refinance or selling.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, like the way that we work, we look at both options.
Yeah. So I mean, if we're looking at refi or sell, okay. So now I'm gonna sing the praises of the real estate brokers, okay. Obviously, if you have debt, okay, so why would you refinance a property? You're refinancing a property because you want to pay off debts, you want to do renovations, you want to do this, you want to do that. If you sell, you're obviously going to be able to get more money out of your property than if you were to refinance. So the government has put in rules when you're refinancing, which is a maximum of 80% loan to value. You cannot go above that. So seeing as you can't go above 80% loan to value, then the only way that you're going to be able to access more funds out of that property is by selling it.
If you still have equity. So that's the other thing. If you have equity in your home and you've purchased it, it's been many years, you have not refinanced previously, yes, you're going to make more money, let's say, liquid money, after the sale. But I agree with you. You have to have a plan, right? You have to know where you're going, do your pre-approval, and it's case by case, right? But definitely if you're going to be selling, especially in this market, and you're looking to, you want to have cash for whatever reason, right? You're looking to do something else. Maybe, some people are actually selling their single homes and investing. Mm-hmm. They're investing, and this is something we're seeing a lot of actually later in life. It's something they always wanted to do, and they're going to take the money and buy a property. I've
had actually more and more older couples who are coming to me, and they're looking to supplement their retirement income by investment. Up next, we're going to be looking at other reasons to refinance and whether this is something to consider. You're listening to The Real Estate Show on CJAD 800.
You're listening to The Real Estate Show with your real estate and mortgaging team, Terry Kilakos and Helen Akrivos on CJAD 800.
Thanks for joining us on The Real Estate Show. Today we're chatting about selling your home in this hot market or refinancing it. Feel free to reach out to us during the week at 514-680-4674, or you could visit us online at northeastmortgages.ca or northeastrealties.ca. As well, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is newsonthego.ca. Now, here's the $1 million question. Are you ready, Eleni?
I'm ready.
Okay. You ready?
Yep.
What markets right now in Montreal are the hottest? It's a question that comes up often. It's a question that we've had texters ask us. It's a question that has come up at the office right now because we have a lot of investors.
Yep.
Let's talk. Hot markets.
So hot market for selling. Okay, I'm not talking about buyers now.
Yeah. Where have you seen the highest increases in property values?
Okay, so for the property values, you'd be surprised. So I'm not talking about evaluations, right? I'm just talking about prices. So where are people paying more for houses? You'd be surprised at that it's off island. And so the higher increases.
You love your off island stuff.
I love on island. I'm an island girl. I'm a city girl. So I love Montreal. So this is the thing. There's certain areas in Montreal that are high demand.
Right.
TMR, Mount Royal, DDO, or actually a study just came out, the stats came out that homes over $1 million, the sales have increased. So there's a demand for a certain type of home on the island, over $1 million. We're talking Westmount, Hampstead, TMR, DDO. Okay, so those areas are in high demand. I wonder why. Yeah. He lives in DDO. So that's on island. Okay, the prices have gone up. Again, supply's down, so everybody's multiple offers, everybody's overpaying. But off island, because the prices were already low, so Laval, North Shore, places like Mirabel, so Laval, North Shore, and South Shore, that's where we've actually seen the most increase, like 10% increase in prices.
Interesting.
And people are, again, and so what's happening is the people who cannot afford, we did a show on affordability. Yeah. The people who cannot afford on island, well, where are they going? They're going to Laval. So specifically places in Laval, South Shore that are close to trains, metro stations, like transportation, future
transportation. As well.
That's where we're seeing a lot of movement, a lot of investment. People are buying there. So if you own a home in these areas, obviously your value it's going up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Before we went on break, I started talking about how I have older couples who are approaching retirement. Couples that are in their, kind of early 60s, late 50s. They know that within the next 5 or so years they're going to be retiring. Yep. And what I'm seeing more and more, the trend is that some of them are selling their properties and they're buying investment properties. So they're buying duplexes, they're buying triplexes, and they're doing it so that they can actually supplement their retirement income as they go into their twilight years, which is fantastic. Yeah. And it's one of the things that, we've always harped on this show. They happen to be doing it backwards, which is fine.
Not a bad thing.
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love it because
it actually makes a lot of financial sense if you're able to live in a triplex, and obviously you have to manage tenants. It's a little bit of a job, but you're willing to do it. Of course, the rental income is going to supplement your income, and at some point it will be paying for itself, right? Yeah,
I did it the other way around, right? Which you did the same thing. So, early on in my 20s, I ended up buying my fourplex, and I kept buying real estate until I had enough rental revenues coming in that pays for my lifestyle. Having that passive revenue was fantastic, and it's what actually helped me build Northeast. But we're seeing more and more older couples doing this, which is really, really something. I'm taking my hat off to them. The other thing that I'm seeing is older couples where they have homes that are fully paid off, and they will basically go in, refinance the house, grab the equity out of there, and do the same thing. Yep. And they're buying in places like Huntington.
Exactly.
They're buying places off island, where they have excellent returns, so the property prices are low, right? And then you have excellent return on investment when we're talking about the rental revenues that are coming in and stuff like that. And if you buy 1, 2, 3 properties out there, then all of a sudden you can get someone in the area to manage them, and you don't even have to worry about the tenants. Yeah. Okay, so sorry, I went off on this tangent because I think that it's important. I really am taking off my hat to these individuals.
And you know what? I'm happy they're doing it now, and that's what we're telling people as well. Is don't wait too long. Like if you've been waiting for years and saying like I've always wanted to do this,
do it.
Just talking to the buyers now. Do it now. The prices are not going to stop increasing. Yeah.
And don't overanalyze. You have to analyze to a certain degree. You got to make sure that whatever investment you're making is actually going to yield you some fruits. Okay, you don't want to get into an investment that's going to be a negative cash flow, or you're going to be breaking even every month, because that kind of defeats the purpose. But you do want to end up in a situation where you have a positive cash flow every month. And hey, if you're able to supplement that, measly little pension that's coming in from the government, why not? Yep. So what parts of the island right now, or off island, are you seeing where there's multiple offers coming in? So in multiple offer situations, I know we had one in Dollard recently.
Dollard, Chomedy, Laval, there, especially if it's a duplex. Okay. So I mentioned before that all property types have increased in prices. They're all in demand. But the plexes always remain more in demand. Okay. And we're seeing that there's not a lot. So if you have a duplex in Chomedy, within 24 hours, just so people understand, if you're thinking of selling your duplex in Laval, there's buyers waiting, literally. My buyers, the other buyers, like every realtor has buyers waiting. Longueuil, in the South Shore, anything that's close to the train. Again, duplex, triplex.
Multiple offers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Condos, we're not seeing as much multiple. And again, it's it's case by case. So condos in Verdun, we had a broker recently in the office who 24 hours.
Yeah.
He said, maybe it's a little overpriced. No, it's sold in 24 hours. So condos in certain areas are selling, plexes in certain areas are selling, single homes of a certain price. So we're seeing a lot, again, over, the larger homes, like over 700,000-800,000 and $1 million, those are also in high demand.
So in this market right now, would you say that having a realtor fighting for you is something that you definitely need?
Honestly,
or you think you can do it on your own?
I don't know how a buyer would do it on their own. Even myself, I'm a realtor, and if I wanted to buy something now, I would use a realtor because I can't necessarily represent myself, to go in there and strategize the offer. You can't just go in anymore, and this is the thing. This is where the sellers have the upper hand. I'm going to keep harping on that. The sellers have the upper hand. Why? They're going to put up something for sale. There's nothing in the market. Buyers are going to come. You're going to get literally, I was just in a multiple offer situation, 8 offers within 24 hours on this duplex in Chamonix. Okay. What did we have to do? We have to strategize the offer. If you're doing this alone, good luck. Because the realtor on the other side representing the seller, he has to now, he's faced with, let's say 8 offers. He has to help the seller, for example, look through these offers, analyze them, and figure out, okay, which one are we going with, right? It's a big stress on the sellers as well. So you need a realtor agent, basically to strategize your offer. So for example, and I'm not saying for everybody to do this, one of our buyers said, okay, you know what? I know the property, I know the area, I checked out everything. I'm not going to do an inspection on this. They were willing to do that, and they got the offer. They had an accepted offer, a little bit lower than everybody else apparently, because they didn't do the inspection. So if you're going to go it alone, I mean, you have no idea what you're getting yourself into, really. Like there's just so many variables in multiple offers, and it's stressful.
Wow. Stay tuned for more talk about what to do with your home during this hot market. You're listening to CJAD 800, The Real Estate Show.
You're listening to The Real Estate Show with your real estate and mortgaging team, Terry Kilakos and Helen Akrivos on CJAD 800.
Today we're talking about selling versus refinancing. You're listening to The Real Estate Show on CJAD 800. And don't forget, you can always call us at the office at 514-680-4674. Of course, you can always visit us online at northeastmortgages.ca or northeastrealties.ca. And if you haven't done so already, please take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is newsonthego.ca. Now, Eleni, going back to what we were talking about selling. I think that if you want to move and you've gotten pre-approved, or you're ready to rent, obviously this is kind of the right time to list. I mean, we've determined that. What are the steps that we need to take? What are the steps that you recommend that someone takes when they're actually about to list a house, if you will? Okay, so you said, or they want to list a house.
Yeah, so you said the first part. So it's the 4 Ps. I have 3 Ps of selling, but then you have 1. So that's 4 Ps of selling. So you said get your pre-approval, which I highly recommend. Okay. You're thinking of selling, come and check out what can you afford to buy. That's actually necessary, by the way, for the next step, which is to plan. Okay. So then I would meet with you and say, okay, I see that you're pre-approved for this amount. Let's look at what kind of house you can get. How, is this type of house even available? Right. So that's where the second step is we plan. So we have to plan.
Which is something people don't do.
They don't do. It's not, I'm going to put it up and then I'm going to get offers. Okay, but did we plan for, putting a delay, for example, for by the time you're going to be able to find your house? There's all sort of plans. Like there's so many plans that have to go into selling the house. There's the dates, there's the conditions. There's planning for the other house, especially if you're buying another house. There's a big plan. So you got your pre-approval.
You made the plan.
Which takes a bit of time.
Right.
And you need a realtor.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you got to price the property. You're like, okay, we got the plan.
There's another P there.
There's another P. So depending on our plan and our pre-approval, are we going to price higher than the market? And because we want to take our time, do we want to price at the market value, which pretty much that's what people are doing, and things are selling over. So price it correctly according to your plan. By the way, that's one of the things that, sorry, I'm cutting you off. No, go ahead.
See, I like to talk a lot. Anyways,
that's fine.
But it's one of the things that I end up seeing comes up more and more, where you end up having clients that they're going to come in and they're going to say, all the professionals around them are telling them, your house cannot sell for more than, I don't know, $475. And they're like, I want 600. And they end up wanting to list it for 600 because there was some realtor that came in and priced it at a point where it didn't even make sense. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, just to be clear on the price. Yeah. Prices have gone up. They have not gone up 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, they've gone up. You may get a little bit more than what the price, like what the market value is. we're talking, so when we're talking multiple offers, we have seen things in Plateau and Villeray, in, Plex situations. They have gone over by 10, 20. We've even seen 30 and 40,000 over.
Yep.
Absolutely. I've seen it in DDO with our client that's looking for, a specific type of house, again, in the $1 million range. There's not a lot. They come up. I've seen it go 40, 50,000 over. For, let's say, $400,000 homes, the duplexes I was talking about, it'll go 5 to 10,000 over. That's, so we're not talking 100,000 over, right?
Right.
So have to price the property within
properly
the range, right? Because
otherwise you burn your listing.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the mortgage is going to come in, right? You're going to try to do the mortgage, and then you're going to have to get the evaluation for the property.
Which it happens.
Yes.
We had
and then it's your trouble.
That's right. We had a property recently where the client, they decided they were paying $680 for it.
Yeah.
We did the evaluation. The bank, not me.
Not you,
the bank does the evaluation. The bank comes back and says it's not worth $680. It's worth $640. So now there's a discrepancy of $40,000 there.
Yeah.
Right. So you guys have to be careful. Just because you want $1 million for a property that's worth $500 doesn't mean that you're going to necessarily get it, even if it's a seller's market. And the thing that you have to be careful of, and now we're going to get to your fourth P in a second.
Yeah,
Eleni.
Don't forget my fourth P.
I'm not forgetting your fourth P. The thing that you guys have to remember, you have to be careful of who you're doing business with, okay? If a realtor comes to you and says, I could sell your house $100,000 more than what everyone else told you that it's actually worth, the only thing that they're trying to do is get your listing. Okay, they're not actually looking out for you. And what's going to end up happening, they're going to list it. They're going to put it on the market for, 3-4 weeks, whatever. And then they're going to come to you and they're going to say, yeah, we have to reduce the price. And guess what? Meanwhile, this guy just got a whole bunch of buyers from your listing, got a whole bunch of stuff, and he fished you into doing the listing. So you need to be dealing with professionals. Stop.
That's another P, by the way. So,
professionals. Yeah, there you go.
That.
We have a fifth P. Stop trying, like dealing with like snake oil salesmen who are going to basically, promise you the world and then they're going to underdeliver. These whole gimmicks that I hear on, advertising and stuff. We'll sell your house within 30 days or we're going to buy it. Look at the fine print. What does that mean? That doesn't make sense. You understand that, okay? I don't care who the real estate broker is.
It's part of the planning process.
Yeah,
what you're talking about really is really make sure you're comfortable with the person you're working with.
Exactly.
And that the plan that they're putting forth, you're comfortable with.
Yeah. Let's go. P number 4.
All right. P number 4 is present the house at its best. It's going to sound simple. Presentation. So once you've planned, you've chosen the price, you did the pre-approval, that was one. The house has to show at its best.
Yeah.
And so obviously
no iPhone pictures. I don't care if you have the newest and greatest iPhone. Do not take pictures with your iPhone or your Samsung or whatever phone you have.
Yeah. But it's even more than the pictures. The pictures, by the way, and that's another P. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Pictures. It's
pictures.
Just like,
so for me, I'm very picky. My clients know about the pictures. Like the pictures it has to be a sunny day.
Yeah.
I will cancel my pictures if it's raining. I don't want any, clouds in my pictures because that's what people are going to look at. So the price, by the way, your marketing is your price. That's what people are going to see online, and your pictures and how the house presents. When people come, does it smell good? Does it look
I talk
airy?
about that all the time.
Yeah.
Even for refinances. I tell
Perfume.
my clients, make sure you go and you get an air freshener and you put it in the house.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, go on. Yeah.
No, it's really the whole presentation.
It's another P, perfume. There you go.
I know, yeah. But the presentation, by the way, I mean, we do it, and I know other realtors do it as well. We offer what's called like a minimal staging. If clients want. I mean, listen, some people are selling their home and they're not able to do a staging. They're not, every situation is different. Ideally, you would be clearing out the house, getting rid of a lot of the stuff, airing it out.
Yeah. What about landscaping?
Painting, landscaping, like the things that don't cost a lot, that just, again, you're presenting the house at its best. I tell my clients, pretend that, I don't know, CTV, HGTV is coming with the film crew. And you're putting on, it's like when you go to the ball, you put on your, your makeup, your hair.
Right.
That's what you're doing. So you're not, misleading people. You're really taking your house and you're saying, okay, I've lived in this house for 20 years. I've loved it. Now it has to be, and it's actually, by the way, it's psychologically, my clients have gone through this and they've enjoyed it because it prepares them. That's another P. It prepares them psychologically for selling.
Yeah.
Because the house has to look like it's ready for somebody else to live in.
Right, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, that's the preparation.
Do you agree getting rid of like the pictures of like
everything?
Everything.
If my clients are open to it, like I said, I give them that minimal, the staging. Right. This is like the minimum that you have to do so the house is presentable.
Yeah.
For the buyers.
So, for all our listeners out there, we're quickly running out of real estate here. But
we got all the P's in.
We got all the P's. But I just have to say one thing. I remember we had this client, and Eleni had met with the clients early on. They wanted to sell their house, and there was another realtor that said to them, "I'm going to be able to sell it for $100,000 more than what Eleni's saying." So they end up going with the other realtor, and sure enough, it stays on the market. And 6-7, I don't know if you remember this. Anyway, 6-7 months later,
you always remember, and I remember. I'm listening to the story.
So 6-7 months later, the client comes to me and they're like, we got to give it to Eleni because Eleni's going to be able to sell it.
Yeah.
We put it on, you go and you see the property, and the first thing you tell the clients is, all right, you got to get rid of this bush, you got to get rid of this tree, you got to do this, boom, 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 boom,
now
boom.
I remember. I think I know what you're talking about.
On the weekend, the guy goes and buys a chainsaw and he starts hacking away at everything. Anyways, I thought it was funny.
Because what happened was the bush was covering the house.
Exactly. Guys, you've been listening to The Real Estate Show on CJAD 800. If you guys want to get a hold of us during the week, you can call us at 514-680-4674. Thanks for listening, everyone.